Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful Facebook Live session. This session is brought to you by Education USA Ghana. My name is Marilyn Owusu. I'm an educational advisor at Education USA Kumasi. Once we start this program, we need to know that we have Bentley University with us. We are privileged this evening to have a very wonderful session. We have with us my colleague from the US Embassy, who's in the person of Bernice Afote. She'll be part of the program. And then we have four wonderful people with us. We have Joe Sparrow, who is the Senior Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission. And we have Melissa Junta, who's the Assistant Director, Office of Financial Assistance. We have Karen Carey Dionis, who's Director of International Undergraduate Admission. Anya Gerland Dunkel, who's the Assistant Director for Graduate Admission. If today's your first time joining us, I just want you to know that there are two Education USA offices in Ghana. There's Education USA Accra, which is based at the US Embassy. There's Education USA Kumasi, which is based at ACE Consult at Asukwa, Kumasi. We have different sessions. One, we'll be able to know how to complete the Common App form and be very confident when we are done, because we have a wonderful person who will take us through that session. We will have a feel of how to fill the CSS profile. A lot of undergraduate students struggle with that. And then we need to learn all about Bentley University. So we have a solid pack, undergraduates and graduate people telling us all we need to know about Bentley University. What I want you to do is during the session, keep typing your questions. At some point, we will put all the questions together and answer them. So without taking too much time, I'd want to hand over to the Bentley team, who will take us through all the wonderful sessions this evening. Enjoy the session.
Good evening. So in today's presentation for financial assistance, we will be discussing how financial aid is awarded, types of aid, financial aid requirements at Bentley, the FAFSA, CSS Profile, and the importance of meeting deadlines. Financial aid is provided to students to help offset the cost of education. Students that are US citizens or permanent residents are eligible to apply for need-based financial aid, and you must apply for financial assistance each year. How we determine how financial aid is awarded is we have a standard cost of attendance, and that is the estimated annual cost of attending a particular college or university. And that includes things such as your tuition, fees, room and board, personal expenses, books. And then we subtract out your estimated family contribution, which is from the FAFSA and the CSS profiles. And then from there, we determine what your financial need is. And that is what we try to fill with financial assistance, which we will discuss types of financial aid on the next slide. So at Bentley, types of aid that we offer are Bentley institutional grants. There are also federal grants and state grants that are available. We offer federal student loans, which would be the subsidized and unsubsidized Stafford loans. There's also a federal work study program, which is where you work on campus and earn dollar. There's also merit-based financial assistance, which is Bentley scholarships and athletic scholarships. We offer our federal and private loans. We recommend families use elmselect.com to find the best private loan that fits your financial situation. Outside scholarships is also another type of aid that's offered. This is something that you would apply for personally, either through your high school, or if you just honestly search on Google, you can find outside scholarships that are available that may fit your particular major or your situation. We also partnered with this company called Raise Me and their micro scholarships. And this is earned by setting up an account with Raise Me, and you complete certain requirements to earn scholarship money. And from here, what you would do is you'd do things such as like upload your grades for the semester or participate in certain types of activities that Raise Me has set up. And then from there, you earn scholarship dollars. So then at that point, what Bentley does is we try to award you those dollars. If you have been awarded financial assistance or merit-based scholarships, the dollars that you raise from Raise Me would be covered by that. But if you do not receive financial aid and you do not receive a merit-based scholarship, the micro scholarship dollars earned through Raise Me is something that you would receive in a financial aid award letter. And lastly, another resource that families may have is a 529 college savings plan. And that's something that would have been set up that your family would then discuss with Student Financial Services about how those payments would get made. For financial aid requirements for our undergraduate students, we do require the free application for federal student aid, otherwise known as the FAFSA. This is completed at studentaid.gov and it's available starting October 1st. We also require for institutional aid, which is Bentley grant, the CSS Profile, which again is available on October 1st. We also require your parents sign 2019 federal tax returns, including all schedules and their W-2 forms as well from 2019. If your parents did not file a US federal tax return, you can submit the equivalent of those forms to our office as well. And then there are supplemental forms that may be required, which would be a non-custodial CSS profile form if your parents are divorced or separated. If your parents have a business, we would request either their business returns or the business farm supplement. And lastly, if your family owns multiple pieces of property, we would request a clarification of property value worksheet. But these are, again, all case-by-case situations. So it's something we would determine and collect from you once you submit your application. For our graduate student population, we do require also that free application for federal student aid. And then you also have to complete the graduate aid application, which is found on our website. In addition to that, there are situations where the graduate students do have to complete a CSS profile, and that is if you're going to be in a Falcon Fast Track program, or if your situation is where you have unusually low wages. Again, this is something that would be a case-by-case situation. And then we would also collect student assigned tax returns from 2019, W-2 forms, and then any additional supplemental forms may be required as well. To get into what the FAFSA really is this is used to determine your eligibility for federal grants and loans. It's a free application and you can complete it either online. They did create a mobile app as well as mail in a hard copy of the FAFSA. The fastest way would definitely be to do this online. And you do have to create a FSA ID, and this is used to actually sign the FAFSA for you and a parent. So both of you would each have to create your own. And you would save this and you would just be able to use this for the 4 years that you plan on applying to Bentley. And this basically the FAFSA includes information about your parents and student tax returns and any asset information as well. So it allows us to see what your financial picture is. We do recommend that if you are able to use the data retrieval tool, which is a feature on the FAFSA, to use it. And in addition, the FAFSA allows you to send this form to 10 schools at a time. So if you have more than 10 schools you are applying to, all you have to do is go back in after you sent the first 10 out and just remove the schools that are in there and upload the other schools you would like to send it to. For the CSS profile, not every school requires this. Bentley does. The CSS profile is used to determine your institutional financial aid eligibility, which is for Bentley grant. And it is there is a $25 application fee that is associated with this application. Again, this is just an application that is going to provide us with a broader picture of what your financial situation is. It is completed online. And the good thing about the CSS profile is that there is a list of outside scholarships that you can apply for through this application process, in addition to submitting your application to Bentley. But again, it's just this is an added application that we require that gives us a broader picture of what your financial situation looks like. And lastly, we have important dates. These are tentative for 2021. It's very important to submit everything by the deadlines if you are planning to apply on any of these application types. The number one thing that I can't stress enough is that the only way you're going to find out if you're eligible for financial assistance is to go through the whole entire application process. So make sure you're submitting all of your forms online and through our office on time, and that is the only way that you'll really know what your financial aid award would be. So we just can't stress enough that you go ahead and make sure that you submit everything on time and go through the whole process to really find out what your aid eligibility would be. And lastly, these are just some resources that we will make available to you. There's just some things such as the top one is see who your financial aid counselor is. So we have certain assistant directors and associate directors in the office that work with different populations. There's a great tutorial that the FAFSA and CSS Profile both have if you are applying to a school that requires them, that you can go ahead and just go through those. They're really informative. But that's pretty much that. These will be made available to you. And next up, I'm going to introduce Karen Karidianis, who is the Director of International Undergraduate Admissions, to give you guys some more information.
Thank you, Melissa, and hello, everyone. And I'm so excited to be here with you. I've gone to Ghana before and recruited, and it was nice to see some familiar faces with EducationUSA, and it's exciting to go through and navigate the common application form with you. So my colleague Joe was going to assist me while we actually pull up the common application form for you to see how the process works. The common application has 5 distinct sections. In those 5 distinct sections, we have a dashboard, the My Colleges, Common App, College Search, and Financial Aid. I'm going to go through all of these 5 sections with you, spending the majority of my time on the Common App section itself, but defining every one for you. So the dashboard. Here is where you would list all the schools that you are applying to. It's here where you would find instructions and application requirements. If a school, for example, requires an additional essay, it would be listed here. It's via your dashboard where you can actually edit any changes to your common application form. But I caution you, once you hit submit to a specific university, you cannot make changes and you will need to contact the university directly. So don't submit until you know your application is complete. The common application form allows you to apply up to 20 universities. Of the more than 4,000 universities in the United States, your common application form is 3,800 of them are awarding credit. Are awarding the common application as an option. I hear that there's some challenges with my communication, so I'm hoping people can hear me better right now. I've removed my microphone. Is it better now, team? Okay, let's try this. Let me continue going and you can let me know if there continues to be an issue. Following the dashboard, we have the college search program. This is where you identify the actual colleges in which you want to apply to and click on them where you see a plus sign and it will automatically add them to your dashboard. From this screen, by clicking on the 3 dots to the very far right, you can also find out required documents, deadline dates, and fees, as well as links to virtual tours and the institution's website to allow you to learn more. I'm asking Joe to click on the College Navigator because what's unique about this feature is it allows you to customize what you are looking for at a particular school. So you could choose by majors, you could choose by states within the United States, you could look at different degree options, you can consider private or public schools, but this feature allows you to do your research. So when you do choose to add them to your dashboard, you already have a good, thorough understanding of what is there. Moving on, you have My Colleges. This section is actually just a section that's going to list out every college and their specific information, deadline dates, and fees. As Melissa said earlier, deadline dates are extremely critical. So abide by them because it can impact negatively your application if you miss a deadline date. So let's move on to the common application form itself. Here there are 6 sections. The first section is the profile section. And what I want to address specifically to you is the geography, location, language, and citizenship. Geography is very important. So if you are a dual citizen, you would probably put your US citizenship in this information, not your citizenship for Ghana or any other country, because you do not need a visa to attend a US university if you have US citizenship or you're an eligible permanent resident. What's very important is the language section. Many of us are multilingual. Believe it or not, my first language was Greek, it wasn't English. So if I list Greek as my first spoken language, for most universities in the United States, I would need to take an English language proficiency test. This section is important because your first spoken language will dictate what a university is going to require for you, which means even though I attended English-speaking schools throughout my entire educational career, from primary, secondary, and university, when it came time to apply to universities, some universities, because English was not my first spoken language, required that I take a TOEFL, IELTS, or now even Duolingo exams. So this is important to fill out accurately. The next section is the family section that I want to bring to your attention. In this section, it is key that you put as much detail as possible. What do I mean by this? That if your parents have a cell phone or an email, you need to put that information in there. Often, if a university cannot communicate with you, they may communicate with you as well as a parent, so that information becomes crucial. If you have siblings, please include them as well in this assessment. The next section I want to bring your attention to is the education section. If, for example, you start at one school and then attend a different school, you must list all schools in which you've attended and make sure that you put the appropriate dates. If your school doesn't have a college counselor, you must replace it with a school official. If we have a question about a transcripted document, this is who and where we go to know who to speak with. So if your school doesn't have a college counselor, a school official, such like as a principal, or I've also seen students put teacher contact information there, as well as EducationUSA advising officers there. This is a very important field to complete. Another part of this is honors. Any honors or awards should be listed here. Often I see students who exclude this information, and it really reflects poorly in your application, especially when we are considering students for special funding or merit awards for their academic excellence. It's really key to complete that section. Many universities in the United States have specialized scholarships for different affinity groups, and we often look at that section to determine what it is that you've been involved in, what kind of honors you've received, and when. The next section that we're looking at is future plans. Now, you probably think, why is this section so important? Well, I've worked for universities that have received over 56,000 applications for one academic year and only have 1,000 seats to fill in the fall. So your career aspirations are key and can actually make the difference between a student being admitted and a student not being admitted. I'll give you an example. I had a student who applied to Bentley who is brilliant, should have been admitted with a full scholarship, and all of a sudden, what I hear from the student or what I see is that they put that they want to be an engineer. Well, Bentley doesn't have engineering. So here a candidate who would have been put forward for full merit now was being put on our wait list. And it was only later that I learned that we were their #1 choice, but their poor selection and indicating what a career interest would be precluded them from gaining admission. So that field is very important. Testing. Here is where you would list out any of the tests that you have taken. Some universities are test optional, some are test flexible, and some require tests. In Bentley's case, we are going to be test optional next year, but we still require English language proficiency exams for those where English is not their first spoken language. So pay close attention to the testing that universities are requiring when you just decide whether or not you'd like to apply. Activities. This is very similar to honors. Please take this section very seriously because your activities are often influential in a decision-making for merit scholarship or in a decision-making to determine whether or not you will be a good match for a university. And you may hear this quite often. Am I a good match or am I not? So please pay close attention to that section. Writing. You hear about this all the time. This is where you would write your personal statement. The Common Application provides you multiple options as well as an option of your own. This section is required or optional depending on the university in which you're applying to. But pay close attention because there is a minimum word and maximum word requirement. And you can see it clearly here. I also want to stress that the essay is also a tool that we use to assess your grammar skills as well as determine whether or not you're actually answering the question, and we look at quality. Universities are not understanding, and I say that, they are not understanding when we see grammar or spelling mistakes. That's unacceptable in a university application. And remember, your essay should be 25% the question, 75% all about you. Don't submit a paper that you earned an A in because it's not telling us anything about you. Disciplinary history, both at school and at your community at large. So if you're cheating on a test, it must be noted here. Or if you stole something from a store, it also must be noted here. So please don't have any disciplinary issues. And additional information. I love this section. And one of my biggest challenges is I see students in this section repeat something that we already have somewhere else in their application. So for example, a student may take the time and do a thorough job listing out all of their activities, but then in this section, they submit their resume. Well, if you've done a thorough job filling out your application, why would I want to see something twice? Tell me something new about yourself. Or maybe you have a blemish in your transcript and you didn't do well in a class. Use this space as an opportunity to explain that for us. Now we go to the final section on the Common Application Form, and that's financial aid resources. Like Melissa had highlighted a variety of websites, the Common Application also can plan and provide you with additional information and providing you opportunities to explore additional locations for your scholastic needs. I think we've covered all of it. And if you have any questions, we'll talk about them at the end of our presentation. Thank you, everyone. And I'm passing it over to Joe Spiro, our Senior Assistant Director in Undergrad Admissions, to tell you why Bentley.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Karen and Melissa. Both of you did a great job. So now that you know how to fill out the Common Application, why would a student choose the Bentley undergraduate experience? Why would a student choose to apply and then enroll at Bentley University? So just a little bit of context for you. Bentley has a long history. We trace our roots back over 100 years. We were founded in 1917, actually as an accounting school in Boston. Fast forward a couple, 50, 60 years, and we actually changed locations to more of a residential campus in the town of Waltham, where we reside today. And actually in 2008, Bentley changed its name from Bentley College to Bentley University. And so, over the years, Bentley really has continuously reinvented its business education to become one of the nation's best, and it's the only business university in the United States. So now focusing on what makes, Bentley unique. We are unique from some of the schools you might be currently researching or planning on applying to. We really are in a category of our own. We're not a large comprehensive university. We're not a small liberal arts college with, an economics major. We're not a specialized or technical school within a larger university. We like to think that we've taken the best of all three of those elements and created Bentley University, which we do identify as a business university. Some great accolades Bentley has. We are a top 10 business university, currently ranked #2 among the best colleges in the Northeast region of the United States. We are mid-sized, so not too big, not too small, around 4,200 undergraduate students. And our class sizes are a little bit smaller as well. We actually cap our class at 35 students. Average class sizes is about 24 students in the classroom. All of our classes are 100% faculty taught. We don't have grad assistants, we don't have TAs, so you are learning from the primary source. And I think this allows for great learning and also those great networking opportunities as well. And so, as I mentioned, we are a business university, which does make us distinct. And, today's world is built on business, and whatever field or industry you choose, having a strong foundation in business will serve you well for your careers, whether it's working for the government, healthcare, education, startups, corporate setting, you name it. We have countless alum, which we'll talk about further in the presentation, that really showcase how a true business education prepared them for their careers. But I want to take a step back and focus on how we prepare our graduates. Why are our graduates so successful? And I think that starts with, obviously, the Bentley curriculum and our approach to academics. So now, all students, come to Bentley as undecided business majors. So most students that are applying to Bentley know that they want to study business in some capacity, but they're just not sure of what area of business they want to study, and that's totally okay. And so with the general business core, we call it the GB core. GB stands for general business. This is a core of 9 courses that you'll take over the course of your 4 years while at Bentley. And this is going to expose you to a wide range of different courses in finance, accounting, marketing, management, analytics, global strategy, you name it. So really building on that solid foundation, and students have until their sophomore year to declare their major. So really your first 2 years are your explore and experiment years to learn more about, what area of business you want to choose and dive into. At the same time, we really do put an emphasis on the arts and sciences at Bentley, as we feel that that does create the well-rounded student. So in addition to your general business core, you're also going to have a liberal arts or a general education core of courses where you'll be taking English, expository writing 1 and 2. You'll be taking a science course. You'll be taking an economics course. Really, we're going to build on those soft skills to complement those technical business skills you're getting in the general business core. And if you look, we're actually going to skip ahead to the top of the pyramid, the optional second major. And as I mentioned, Bentley really is committed to the integration of business and the arts and sciences. And the best illustration of that is no doubt with our optional second major, or the liberal studies second major, which is unique, but really distinctive and provides an enormous advantage when entering the job market. So essentially, by structuring your classes the right way, you can graduate with 2 degrees in 1. So if you are a student that's really passionate about, you're a finance major, but you're passionate about Earth, the environment, and global sustainability, you can pair your BS in finance with your LSM in global sustainability and position yourself to be a controller at a renewable energy company. Again, 2 schools of thought, but again, you're that much more marketable to the employer. Now, focusing on our majors, you'll probably be surprised to see that a business university has such a wide array of majors, but we see business in a multitude of industries and careers. So whatever you major at Bentley, each of them has a curriculum that was informed by our corporate partners to ensure we are teaching the skills relevant in any industry today. And as you can see, the majors with the asterisk on it, those are our STEM designated majors. We have 26 majors, 35 minors. I always like talking about minors really briefly because I think our minor structure at Bentley is unique in that it only takes 4 courses to declare a minor. A lot of other institutions, it's either 6 to 8 courses. So by having only 4 courses to declare your minor, it really allows you to customize your academic experience. And it's not uncommon for a student to have 2 or 3 minors. Like I said, with that added flexibility, our students are able to really expand upon their interests. And how we learn is unique as well. So we don't have big lecture halls. We have smaller class sizes, but we also use technology within our classrooms. And when you think business, you think technology. And Bentley has invested over $300 million in 7 high-tech learning lab facilities, which really honestly no other university can say they have more than 2 or 3 of these. So Bentley has 7 high-tech learning labs where you're able to get that hands-on experience as early as freshman year. So we have an accounting lab, Center for Marketing Technology, Computer Information Systems Sandbox, we call it the CIS Sandbox, a language lab, media culture labs and studio, user experience, and the training room. And I always like highlighting the training room because this is by far, anybody that comes to visit Bentley, they always say this space is absolutely the most impressive a college can offer. So we have the largest university training room in the United States. It's equipped with 24 Bloomberg terminals. Students can become Bloomberg certified free of charge. We also bring in companies like Bloomberg and other like Fidelity. They'll come in and they'll actually do live simulations with our students. We have a live ticker. We also have an investment wall. And on our investment wall, it shows the Bentley Investment Group. Obviously, being a business school, we have an investment club on campus. So about 7 or 8 years ago, our investment group came to the higher ups and they said, hey, we're looking to invest some money. Can you give us some money to start off? So the investment group, Bentley's leadership gave our investment group $250,000 to start. And as of today, it's up to $1.8 million. So it just shows you that our students know what they're doing. So if you bring your portfolios to campus, I'm sure they can help you out a little bit. So continuing on the theme of hands-on learning opportunities outside of the classroom, I want to focus on what we call experiential learning at Bentley. So we have what's called service learning, which I like to think of it as community service connected to your academic framework. You take topics learned in the classroom, you apply it to different community service, trips and projects outside of the classroom, whether it's locally, nationally, or internationally, and then you take those experiences and bring it back to the classroom for those in-depth discussions. And you can also earn course credit for participating in service learning. Study abroad. At Bentley, a lot of schools offer study abroad, but I believe that we have a unique approach to international education in that we have a lot of options for you to gain that global experience. We have the traditional semester program, go away to a specific country. We have a full year immersion program. We have a summer program. We also have what's called intensives. And so these are 10 to 14 day faculty-led courses abroad that focus on a particular area. So we recently had students explore health challenges in Ghana, as well as global tourism in Germany and Croatia. So these would be like your intensive courses during winter intersession or in the summertime. And we actually have partnerships with 85 programs spread out through 30 different countries, including the London School of Economics, the University of Navarra in Spain, you name it. A lot of opportunities to gain that global experience. And I mentioned how corporate partnerships, and I always love talking about corporate partnerships because I think this is so unique to Bentley. They help us with our curriculum design, but it is integrated into your curriculum. So all students, regardless of major, will take, it's called the General Business 320 course. This is the corporate immersion course, or integrated business project, where you're helping a company like a Converse, a New Balance. You're helping them identify a real world issue that they're facing, whether it's marketing strategies, distribution ways they can expand their company, ways they can focus on a certain clientele. You're helping them do a case study and then making a Shark Tank pitch to them to present your ideas to these investors. So Converse would be your investor, and you're coming up with a business plan to help them sustain their business. So you'll have the opportunity to do this as a junior or senior at Bentley. And obviously the best way, the most hands-on way you can gain experience is no doubt through the internship process. And if you've done a little bit of research about Bentley, you'll know that our internships and career services are nationally ranked amongst the best of the best. We've actually been ranked in the top 5 for best career services and internships each of the last 8 years. And as you can see here, we were ranked number 4 out of 4,000 institutions in the US for our internships, and same thing with career services. So a lot of opportunities to get that hands-on experience. Being outside of Boston, we're about 13 kilometers or 9 miles outside the city. A lot of opportunities in Boston, but also you're not just limited to the Boston area. These companies on the next screen, you'll see are the companies where our students land jobs and intern are all around the globe. And as you can see here, these are some of the top companies, and I think they speak for themselves, that these are not just regionally recognized industries and organizations. These are nationwide, global, companies where our graduates are going. But we aren't just about academics here at Bentley. We do have a work hard, play hard mentality. You're going to be challenged in the classroom, no doubt about it, but you're also going to have a lot of fun as well. So we do have a really tight-knit community where about 97% of our freshmen live on campus, about 83% of our students live on campus all 4 years. So out of 4,200 students, that's a lot of students in and around campus. And so we have over 100 student clubs and organizations that range from competitive dance teams to cultural organizations, to obviously the investment group that we have. We have 20 plus NCAA sports. We also have 20% of our students participate in Greek life. So a lot of opportunities to get engaged with the student community. Now the fun part. So after hearing all that, you're probably like, this place sounds pretty cool. How do I apply? Well, Karen just explained how you apply via the common application. So you know that. So now you're going to be experts in that. So now how do you apply to Bentley specifically? So you have the common application, which you'll select Bentley. And now these are our list of requirements. So 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, typically one from your college counselor, or guidance counselor, or a teacher. You can send from multiple teachers. I would always recommend, if you're going to send a 3rd or 4th letter of recommendation, maybe something in your English or mathematics is important, because you think business school, we want to see how you're doing in math and in your English reading and writing abilities. We're looking for your official high school transcript, test scores. So we are going to be test optional for this year. So for students applying for 2021 and 2022, we're test optional for all across the board, both domestic and international students. And then fast forward to 2022, 2023, so hard to think about those dates, we will be test flexible for international students. So there's more information on what curriculum qualifies for test flexible, and that is right on our website under the admission tab. And then going down the list here, our standardized test scores. So as Karen briefly mentioned, we do accept both the TOEFL and the IELTS exams. And starting this year, or just for this year, we're accepting the Duolingo exams as well. And then again, we're looking for your senior grades. We want to see, remember, you go to high school for, a long time. We wanted to see that you're steady throughout. And I know senior year can be very stressful for students. There's so many things going on. You're taking on leadership roles within your clubs and organizations, sports teams, but also academics are our priority number one. So now scholarships. I won't go too in depth because Melissa did give a brief rundown, but merit scholarships. So this is something that you do not have to apply for. This will be awarded to you at the time of admission decision by the admission committee. So about 50% of or the top half of our admit pool are considered for merit scholarships that range from full tuition to partial scholarship. We also have a women's leadership scholarship, which will be tied into the common application. So there'll be a bar on there, which you can apply directly. This is an application you do have to apply to for the young ladies that are viewing this presentation. There is a separate scholarship for that. It comes with a full program and a scholarship for 4 years on top of your merit scholarship, so it is stackable. We do have partial and full athletic scholarships. The full athletic scholarships are for basketball and hockey. And I believe football might have a few, but the full ones are for basketball and hockey. And then we do have need-based scholarships, which unfortunately international students do not qualify for need-based aid at Bentley, but we do offer need-based aid for eligible permanent residents and US citizens. And these are just some of our application deadlines. I don't want to take up too much of Anya's time. These are on our website, so you can feel free, and we'll be sending this presentation out. And then again, I think it's really important to talk about, the health and wellness of our community at Bentley, and this speaks for everybody. Obviously, we are still in the midst of a pandemic around the world, and we really are. I think Bentley has done a great job of, closely monitoring the situation. We will be having students on campus for the fall. In a certain capacity, still working out those details now. And so we are just, our priority number one is making sure everybody, our entire community is safe and healthy. And so we do have virtual opportunities. So if a student didn't feel comfortable, you can connect with us. You can attend school fully online. All our classrooms are hybrid equipped. And we have what's called the NEST program, which is what's nationally recognized for the way we supported our students. And NEST stands for Navigate, Engage, Support Together. So again, just our entire community engaging with our current students and making sure that they're in a great mental space, a great educational space, and so that they're ready to come back to campus in the fall. So now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Anya, from the graduate side, and she's going to give a rundown of what it's like to be a grad student at Bentley.
Thanks so much, Joe. Thank you all for having me this evening. I'm really excited to talk to you about the other side of school at Bentley, the graduate school, and why it's such a great choice when you're looking to get your master's degree. So at Bentley, our graduate school is a really diverse place. You're going to meet people from all different backgrounds, all different areas. You're going to hear a lot of different voices in your classes. So approximately half of the graduate school is made up of international students. Those international students represent 58 different countries. So you're going to be meeting, like I just said, people from all over the world. And then even for students who are from the United States, you're meeting people from over half of the country, from 29 different states. What this is going to do is it's going to bring those different perspectives into your classes, meaning you're going to get that much more out of your education. So Bentley's graduate programs have some incredibly high rankings and are really well known throughout the business community. So actually this year, very recently, our Master's in Finance program was ranked in the #2 in the US finance program by the Financial Times. We've been consistently ranked by US News and World Report, by Bloomberg, really just as having some of the best programs, both in our master's programs and our MBA. These programs are really kind of well known throughout the country in different companies. And so students are able to take that when they're applying for jobs with these high rankings and get those positions because companies know how strong the programs are. We're also accredited by EQUIS, AACSB, and the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our different programs now. And our kind of capstone, cornerstone program is our MBA. Our MBA is offered in a few different ways, but no matter how you take it, whether it's part-time, full-time, or part-time online, the curriculum overall is the same. It's the same MBA no matter how you take your courses. And so there are 3 different pillars within that. You have your 5 foundation courses, and these are the courses that you're going to take to make sure that everyone kind of has that same level of knowledge before diving into your core competencies. These are things like accounting, economics, financial statement analysis. And these are classes where if you have taken the equivalent course in the last 5 years at an appropriately accredited school, we may be able to waive those courses. The asterisk is there because if you waive out of 4 or 5 of them, we have you add electives so you have a well-rounded education. But ultimately, those are there so that even if you do waive out, you and your classmates are all on that same level. Once you finish the foundations, you dive into the core competencies. I like to refer to them as the different languages of business because they're making sure that no matter what role you play in a business, you're able to work with all of the other departments, you're able to work with all of the other areas of a business. So you may not want to become the head of IT at the company you work at. You might, and that's great, but you may not want to be able to do that. But it is important that you can talk to your IT department and make sure that, IT and the overall business have the same goals. Because in this day and age, if your IT department doesn't have the same goals as the overall business, it's going to be really hard for your business to be successful. So in strategic IT alignment, you figure out how to make that happen the most effectively. In a class about global strategy, you're going to learn exactly that, how to make your company kind of known worldwide, or if it already is, how do you make it even bigger? How do you grow something into the next Google or Facebook or Nike? You're not going to become a lawyer in your law, ethics, and social responsibility class. You can't. We don't have a law school, but you're going to know when you should talk to a lawyer, when you should work with a lawyer to make sure that everything is going right so that you are protected, so that you are safe, so that you're running things well. Ultimately, these 6 courses, some of which I just mentioned, are going to make sure that no matter where you're coming from, you are able to work with each piece of a business. And then one of the things that really makes our MBA stand out is that you can choose a concentration with your 4 electives. You can choose a different area of business, one of these 8 that you see here, and you can get that depth of expertise in a specific area. You're able to choose, you don't have to take all of your classes in leadership, let's say, but if you want to kind of get that specific knowledge, you're able to choose that and differentiate your MBA. So one thing I'll note before we jump into our master's programs is that you're also able to take that MBA and pair it with one of the 7 degrees I'm about to mention to do a dual degree program. It has a couple advantages. One of the big ones being that you can share up to 4 courses between your MBA and your master's degree. So those electives that I mentioned, if you're really interested in marketing, for example, the 4 electives that you take for your MBA will likely count towards a master's in marketing analytics, which I'll mention in a couple of minutes. But you're able to do that with any of these degrees. So a few examples of these degrees are our 4 accounting and finance master's degrees. So our master's in accountancy was the first accounting program in the state of Massachusetts to earn AACSB's accountancy accreditation. And in Massachusetts, our MSA satisfies all coursework requirements for the CPA. Traditionally, you need it's 150 course hours to sit for the CPA. With the 10 to 13 courses you take with the MSA, you're able to fulfill all of that in order to sit for the CPA. Our MS in Accounting Analytics is a STEM designated program. I know that's something that for many international students is a really important point. So this is one of our STEM designated programs, and it is the first program of its kind. And you're not only taking those accounting classes, but you're also taking courses in computer information systems, finance, information process management, and management. So you're getting a taste not only of accounting, but how to work with that data in a whole host of different ways. With the MS in taxation, this is really, it's somewhat clear cut. If you want to learn to develop and implement successful tax strategies, this is really the best place to go. It's one of the largest programs in the US to learn to develop these kind of really strong ways to work with taxes. It's the largest in New England as well, as it mentions here, and you're going to make these really strong connections within that community, as we have one of the largest alumni populations in any tax program. As I mentioned a couple minutes ago, the MS in Finance was ranked the #2 best masters in finance in the US this year. It just came out actually a couple of weeks ago. The graduates of this program, you're gonna gain, financial, analytical, big data skills, because this is a field that's gonna see almost 15% growth in the next decade. So it's incredibly important, if it's a field in which you wanna work, that you have those skills in order to succeed and to grow within a booming field. So our analytics and technology focuses, all 3 of these degrees that you see here, I should mention, as well as that finance one from the last slide, all of these are also STEM designated. So you get those 3 years of OPT with them. Our MS in business analytics. Business analytics is similar to the way I was talking about finance. It is an incredibly high growth field. People are constantly getting jobs purely because they have that deep analytical experience coming out of Bentley. Having that knowledge really is what sets many of our students apart. And Bentley has been a leader in this area for over 20 years. So our background in being able to teach analytics and our expertise in it really helps students go ahead and kind of also gain that expertise to then apply to their jobs when they graduate. With marketing analytics, you're going to get tools to not only be, someone who can build really strong marketing, but kind of you're going to get another side of being this marketing professional. You're going to be able to determine target markets and segment the customer base, which is going to add huge value to an organization, when you can kind of handle all pieces of the marketing world. And then finally, our MS in Human Factors and Information Design, or HFID. It has been ranked the #1 graduate program in user experience by UX Magazine pretty consistently. And it's a program where you gain a deep understanding. It's human behavior through research, and then how do you take the knowledge of human behavior and apply it to design and innovation. So for example, you'll see a lot of times a button that you need, on the internet, a button you need to click on will be in red. Why do our eyes get drawn to the color red as opposed to the color green, for example? You're going to kind of learn about things like that and how to apply them as you're designing for a business or for whatever it is you're doing to make your product and your tools that much more effective. So I know Joe talked about this with the undergrad a bit, but career outcomes coming out of graduate school are, incredibly successful as well. Our statistic here is specific to domestic students, but within 3 months of graduation for domestic students, 97% of students accept a job offer. The number for international students is not that much lower than that this year. And you'll see some of the top employers who are hiring graduates. Places that, you've probably heard of: Amazon, Google, EY, Accenture. These are just, a small sampling of those companies that are kind of looking out for Bentley graduates to say, we know you have these skills, we know that you learned all of this at Bentley, and we want you to come use it at our company. And as I was mentioning, there's a lot of future growth expected in a lot of the areas in which we teach. So accounting, tax analysis, financial planning, is going to see 8.9% growth, and then 9% for marketing strategy, product development, project management. Really, these are all areas that these companies are looking for and that you can gain knowledge in at Bentley. So application requirements for the graduate school. You're looking at a few different things, one of which is we do have an $150 application fee. I was going to say, if you're really interested in applying, feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, and we can get you a code so we can waive that fee for you. You have to write 2 essays. They're pretty clear cut. We just want to know why you want to go to graduate school, what you think you can bring to Bentley, and what you can get out of the Bentley experience. You need to submit a resume, 2 letters of recommendation. We need to see all transcripts from every post-high school institution. So if you did a semester abroad in college, we would need to see transcripts from your main college and from where you went abroad. If you have a master's degree, we need to see grades from undergraduate and graduate. When you're applying, you can submit unofficial transcripts where we are fine with that. We'll need to see official ones later on in the process. But when you're submitting your application, unofficial is fine. For our full-time MBA, we do ask for interviews. We will occasionally ask other applicants for interviews, just depending on an application, but they're not required for everyone. We ask for official GMAT or GRE scores, and then for international students, we do ask for TOEFL or IELTS scores. For test scores, there are sometimes, waivers that are available to some students, and if that's something that you're thinking about applying, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to talk to you some more about that. And so another big thing that we like to talk about a lot is merit aid. So candidates at Bentley are reviewed for merit aid. It's during the application process. It's pretty simple. There's a question on your application. Do you want to be considered for merit aid? You click yes, and we consider you for merit aid. It is purely based on the quality of your application. It is not tied at all to financial need. It's just based on the strength of that application, and you'll also be considered for graduate assistantships. As I think I mentioned a little bit before about those course waivers, those foundation courses, that if you've taken something similar recently, we may be able to waive those classes. And so our application deadlines to start for the fall term. So if you're thinking the fall term for international students, that's probably, you're going to be looking at fall of 2021. So the round 1 deadline is November 15th, and then there are other rounds. So, if you're working on it and you need some time, we take applications through July 1st for international students if you're looking at starting in the fall. And then for the spring term, if you're thinking maybe this spring, maybe a little bit later, international students, we need your applications by November 1st. So that's what I have, and I'm going to hand the floor back.
All right, so this link that you see on the screen, everybody, so if you see this ugaadmission.bentley.edu/register/Ghana, if you do want more information about Bentley, this is the way to do it. So this will get you into our system, and then we can start sending you emails, things like that. Also, we have the contact for your contacts for EducationUSA, Akara, and Kamasi. And that's it. So we want to thank you from Bentley's perspective, and I think now we want to open it up to some Q&A. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a moment, and then we'll have our faces all up on the screen.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Anya. And thanks, Melissa. It's been a good session. We have quite a number of questions here. The first one, I was wondering when that question would come, but it's actually the first one. It says, since ICE have rolled out the guidelines for international students, and internationals are required to take in-person classes, what is Bentley doing about this situation?
Well, Bentley has thank you for the question. Bentley has every intention of starting their classes this fall in a hybrid modality. So the new guidelines created 3 scenarios: full-time on campus, hybrid modality, or exclusively online. So we have a hybrid modality, so it will not impact our international students coming this fall, because they will have both in class as well as online courses. There is a concern that if COVID resurges itself in Massachusetts, right now we're one of 3 states that are on the decline, which is a blessing for us all. But if we do need to go back to a completely online format, we are in the process of preparing the necessary adjustments, and we will have that published on July 13th to ensure that our international students can stay on campus and stay enrolled and stay in their appropriate visa status.
Thank you very much. I have a question here. I'll do a little explanation before I ask the question. This question is coming from a student who wants to know about optional practical training. For our viewers who don't know what optional practical training is, the US allows all international students the opportunity to be able to do practical training after their first degree or their master's or their PhD before they return to their home countries. So you have that opportunity to actually work and practice what you studied before you come back home. The student is asking, does Bentley help international students get optional practical training before they come back home?
I'll take that question, but colleagues, please jump in. In the short of it, absolutely. It's our selling piece. As Joe was talking about, out of 4,000 plus universities in the United States, we're consistently ranked in the top 5 for our internship and job placement and career service centers. We have job fairs that bring over 1,500 companies to our campus. We have companies like EY and PwC that actually reserve jobs for our graduates before they even open up these career jobs to the general public. We have one of the highest job placement rates in the nation, and we do surpass the Ivy Leagues. Being an experiential learning school and having both STEM and non-STEM fields, our international students are having the opportunity not only to have optional practical training when they complete their studies and work in the United States, but we actually have at the undergraduate level a career course that all students are required to take, which allows students to hone up their interviewing skills, develop the appropriate elevator pitch so they can sell themselves, design a resume that is eye-catching, and really this course enables students to also do what's curricular practical training. And curricular practical training allows our students to get a job while they're pursuing their studies and get paid for it. 85% of our international students, as well as all of our students, are getting paid for their work while they're a student. So you don't have to wait till after you graduate. You can even get paid and perform in an industry of your choice as a running student.
Wow, Karen, you're making me feel like go back to undergraduate to study again. I have this question, and I think Melissa is for you. The student says, I'm an orphan and blessed to have relatives who put resources together to take care of me. I don't want to burden them with my US fees. Can I say that I have 0 resources when filling the CSS profile?
So with students that are orphan or what we would call ward of the state, we would need documentation if there is someone else that has become their guardian. So we would ask for, if this student lived with, an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a grandparent, we would ask for their information for the CSS profile.
Okay, thank you. Bernice, this question is to you. It's still about ICE. It's saying with all the guidelines about ICE, what's the US Embassy doing about visas for students who have gained admission for fall 2020? And the university requires them to have in-person classes.
Thank you very much. It's true the embassy is closed and I cannot provide a specific date when we will go back, but because I do not have a date, I encourage everyone to keep monitoring the embassy's website and our Facebook pages. Just those who follow the embassy continue to follow us. When it becomes possible or safe to open the embassy, the announcement will be posted on all these social media pages and also on our website. In the meantime, this is my personal advice. You still need to go back to the embassy's website, read on the student visa application process, and then begin the process if you feel comfortable beginning now, so that at least you can secure a date. And then whenever it becomes possible to interview, you're not going to now scramble for a date. You already will be in the system. So this is my personal advice to you. Also, check with your school. Some schools, before this ICE release came out, schools were also making provisions for people who could not immediately travel to begin their fall semester virtually, taking online classes. So explore all those options with your school. And then on a personal note, you can also begin to become familiar with the visa process so that when it becomes possible, you can quickly apply and go. Also note that at this time, there are no international flights out of Ghana. So that is another thing to pay attention to. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. This question says, does Bentley offer athletic scholarships and what are the requirements?
So I can take this one. Yes, so Bentley does offer athletic scholarships. So we are Division II for our athletic programs, except for our men's hockey program, which is Division I. So our Division I program has full ride scholarships. Our other Division II sports that have full scholarships are basketball, men's and women's, and I think that's it. I want to say football has a handful, but for the rest, it's partial scholarships being Division II. So it's only a certain percentage. And so this would be awarded to you by your athletic coach. So there is a recruitment process and the coaches go through that whole process. So you would have to be reaching out to the coach or the coach would have to reach out to you. And there's a whole kind of step-by-step with that. But you can get an athletic scholarship and a merit scholarship.
I do want to add to that. Sorry, Joe. First, football is not soccer. Football is actually American football.
Correct.
And number two is if you are a basketball player or an ice hockey player and you do want to pursue the potential of earning a scholarship, for those two sports, you need to register on the NCAA website. Our coaches cannot recruit you until you put that information of your statistics on that website. And I encourage you, it does not need to be professional. It can be a YouTube video that a friend makes of you playing those sports, to have that done and send it to our coaches. And that's true for any university, not just Bentley. And I would encourage you to find on our website the listing of all our coaches, but you also have our contact information and we can direct your links to the coach.
Thank you. Anya, this question is for you. But the student says, I have a higher national diploma from a polytechnic in Ghana, which isn't a degree. Can I take the GRE or GMAT and apply for graduate school in the US?
So that would be, I guess, somewhat dependent in terms of what the diploma means, because every country has different names for what, you know, we might call a degree. Traditionally, what we say is if it is a 4-year program and it is kind of the equivalent of an American undergraduate degree, then we would be able to consider that with the GRE or GMAT in order to go to graduate school. It would need to be the equivalent of that, which traditionally means it's a 4-year program post high school.
Okay. I know some schools in Ghana offer top-up programs for students with diplomas. So they can do a year to get a degree and then apply for graduate school. Can students do that in the US?
In terms of getting that 1 extra year, I'm not aware of any specific programs we have to do that. I don't think that is a common thing that we have. It's certainly not, nothing that I think we have. It's not typically a thing you would do at the graduate school level. It sounds, at least to me, like something that probably would make the most sense to do, in Ghana, maybe to finish that up and then to apply to graduate school.
Okay.
I want to just chime in. Some universities do have that transition year in the United States. Bentley does not, but some universities will have, where you've completed a 3-year polytechnic, have that 1-year transition year and then allow you to move into the graduate program, but it's almost like a conditional program, because if you're not successful in that transition year, you can't move into it. Off the top of my head, I only know a couple of universities that have that. So it would require a student to really do the research to see if they have that transitional year available to them. Sorry to cut you off, Anya. I had 17 years of undergraduate experience before I moved over to undergrad, and I happened to work with a university that was developing that program. So,
no, it's
thank you
good
so
that there
much.
are a couple of them, yeah.
Is there a payment required for the CSS profile and the Common App?
There is. The payment for the CSS profile is $25. And then it's $16 for each additional document that you have sent out. But there are waivers that you can obtain through the College Board. So you want to, if you think that you may qualify for a waiver, if you want to find out if you do qualify, just reach out to the College Board. Bentley does not give those waivers out.
Okay, thank you.
as far as for the common application, every university has their own application fee. So for the common application for Bentley, it's $75, but EducationUSA can outreach to us and ask for waivers. As long as it's a school official or a member of EducationUSA, we will honor the waivers.
That's good to know. We are going straight to tell our students.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right, this question says, there are 2 GPA options on the Common App, weighted and unweighted. How should I input my GPA when my school only wants weighted, but my senior high school used unweighted GPA?
This varies from university to university. Right now, Bentley is in the process of recalculating, and we've always recalculated GPAs to unweighted. So I would encourage you to do the unweighted because we're going to do it anyways.
All right, that's good to know. There's a signature part when it comes to signing the Common App. How do I do it if I don't have a light pen to sign?
Believe it or not, when you sign the common application, there's a button and you'll click on it and it'll indicate it's your signature. So you're actually just typing in your name, and we are defining it as a signature because you're acknowledging it as a signature.
Okay, thank you. What's the guarantee that international students will not face racism when they get to Bentley?
I wish I could say there is a guarantee, but there is no guarantee anywhere in the world. It's not just Bentley. That is something that you cannot guarantee because you me, anyone doesn't know the personas of every individual. So you could come to Bentley and it could be an environment that you feel very safe in and that you are embraced. When I ask students their first feeling about Bentley, a common theme, and I'm sure Melissa, Joe, and Anya will probably repeat, is that it feels like a family. But you walk off our campus and you could experience something completely different. Or when you land in the airport, you could experience something very different. Or you could encounter a stranger and experience something different. So regretfully, I cannot guarantee there'd be no racism. But I'm sure every member in this entire society and every single country would say the exact same thing.
Okay. This will be my last question. Even though we have a lot of questions, our time is fast spent. In Ghana, only first-year students are given accommodation on campus for most of the public universities. When I get to Bentley, will I be able to have accommodation for 4 years on campus, or I'd have to commute at some point?
Joe, did you want to? Oh, we guarantee housing all. We guarantee housing all 4 years. With COVID right now, priority is given to our first-year students for the fall. My hope, and from what we're hearing in our news outlets here in the United States, we're very close to finding a vaccine, and there's a strong likelihood it will become the beginning of the new year, and I'm hoping and praying that that's true. So then we can go and affirm that we're guaranteeing housing all 4 years. And that is you're not required to live on campus, but we do provide our students that option.
And just a little more just to add on top of that. So I believe I mentioned it, but 97% of our freshmen live on campus. 83% of students live on campus all 4 years. So it's available for you, but not all students take advantage of it because we are right outside of Boston, and Boston obviously has a lot of great opportunity. Even in the town of Waltham, there's a lot of opportunity where kids don't mind because we provide transportation to and from Harvard Square, which is in downtown Boston. So a lot of our students will take the shuttle from Bentley to Harvard Square, then get off, and then they'll go to their apartments and then come back, or they'll Uber, whatever it may be. So it's an option for you, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to live on campus.
That's really good to know. All too soon, we have to bring our session to an end. Before we wrap up, I'd like to take the final words from everyone, but thanks so much for making us know Bentley and helping us to appreciate the Common App and CSS Profile in a unique way.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm going to ask Joe to put up our screen again. This was a real pleasure and honor, and I hope we get to see you again. As I mentioned when we were talking about applications to universities, it's really important that you demonstrate interest. So if you've liked something that you've heard from an undergraduate or graduate school perspective, please take down this address, this web address. All we're asking you is for your name, your email, whether or not you're interested in graduate or undergraduate, and the term that you want to start. So then we can recognize that you participated in this EducationUSA webinar, and we will give you credit as leveling that as an area of interest. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Karen said, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And in terms of students applying from Ghana, I will be your contact from the undergraduate level. So please find my name on the website. Please reach out to me with any questions that you may have. I'd be happy to walk you through your educational journey, and hopefully that leads to you becoming a Bentley Falcon for the next 4 years, and then maybe beyond at the graduate level as well.
I will follow up with that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and to ask us questions. It's really wonderful to, you know, even through those questions, get to talk to students from all over the world. You know, we all may be kind of stuck in place where we are, but it is great to get to meet students from all over the world, even though it's virtually. Like Joe and Karen said, please do reach out, use that link. And if you're interested in the grad school, make sure you note that so that my colleagues in undergraduate admission can get me that information. Also, similar to what Joe said, you can go on our website and find my information there, contact me that way. But I really do hope I get to hear from a lot of you and talk to you a little bit more about what becoming a grad student at Bentley might be like.
Like all my colleagues have said, thank you for attending today's presentation. I know financial aid presentation, every financial aid situation is different. So your situation could be different from, you know, specifics that we said today. So if you do have questions, reach out to our office. We are here to help. Financial aid is very complex if you don't understand it. So we totally understand. We are here to help. And thanks again.
Thank you, Bernice.
And finally, I want to thank you all, especially the great Bentley team. You have given our audience and ourselves so much information. We are grateful. And to our audience, we want to say, remember, we still have our contacts on the screen. We're working virtually, so do well to email us or call us, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I echo Bernice's words. To our Bentley team, you've done a fantastic job, and we are happy to know. One of the things I really took from the presentation is the fact that our students from EducationUSA who are applying to Bentley can ask for a waiver, and they will get it, which saves them $75, which is good news for us. So thanks so much for this evening session. To our audience, you should know that next week, same time, we will be coming your way with another great session. So stay tuned and join us next week. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.